shall we play a game?
We got Star Wars Unlimited. We got classic Star Wars games. We got old school D&D, independent RPGs, mini painting, Warhammer, of course, tons of other games. But first, we're gonna need some coffee here on Board Barista Productions.
Scale mail. Readers talk back.
Yeah, in the letters section.
Afghanistan, actually.
Yeah, I usually don't cover the letters section because it's more of just like fan mail being written in. But no, there was like, it was a cool thing to see. Was these postcards from the people in the military.
Yeah.
Like, D&D in the military is like insanely popular, almost as popular as D&D in prison.
Well, you're stuck with a group of people all the dang time. You got to find something.
Well, the whole thing is one of the guys that I worked with at the radio station back in my radio days. I never got a chance to play D&D with him. I offered to, like, dude, you could sit in on a game sometime. He's like, nah, I don't do that anymore. But he played when they were on ship in the Navy because they'd just be out to sea. And this was like back in like the 70s and 80s when there was like, even if you could get on the internet, there was like nothing on the internet. With nothing on it in the 80s. And well, and especially it wasn't even around in the 70s. So these times when you're like way the heck in the middle of nowhere, there's a lot of people that do games like this just to pass the time other than just, sitting around playing.
To escape their actual reality. That's what it is. It's not just pastime. It's to escape the reality of what's going on around them.
I misspoke. You are the expert in this situation.
Sorry.
I thank you for your service.
You're welcome.
So yeah, let's dedicate this episode of Retro Reviews to everybody who, all of our fellow gamers who have served or are serving their countries. So retro. Oh, I'm sorry, I was speaking over you. Go ahead.
Oh, I was saying thank you guys for your service, past, present, and future ones.
Future, yeah. All right, like I said, Retro Review, a review show where we go through my copious amounts of gaming books one at a time. And joining me, as always, for the rest of Retro Reviews, probably, is Tanya.
Yay! Hi, guys.
So I made sure to give Tanya the list of the stuff that was coming up, and that's her looking at what are we talking about is the whole like, oh yeah, I found this cool little side thing that we normally don't talk about. We should talk about it.
Sorry.
So, no, it's okay. That's the whole thing. I have realized that from here on out, like Retro Reviews is not going to be a 15-minute show because we can dive deep into a topic if it sparks both of our interest or gets one of us down a rabbit hole. As long as we don't go like over like an hour on each magazine, I think, or book, I think people aren't going to be too crazy and riding with the pitchforks. But to dive in, like I said, it is Dragon Magazine number 321. The first article in this is the Infused Heavenly Prestige class, which transforms the character into a celestial being. So basically, a paladin or a cleric can become an angel. In 3.5, having a prestige class that doesn't give you just like an extra skill or unlocks abilities that would happen because you have the abilities of like two different classes and you like progress as that gestalt character. Going through a biologically powered magical transformation to become a different thing was a huge thing. And who wouldn't want to play, a divine character that actually becomes like a divine character? Next article, and I know this is going to be one to take some time on. It's called Way of the Gun. It is the rules and stats for black powder weapons. So your flintlocks, ball and cap, No semi-automatic, no automatic. This is like you gotta like load the gun with the actual powder. There's no shells or anything like that. So the stats themselves, the actual damage that something does, is not that impressive. And I've seen this in like Pathfinder, because we had some people who were using guns in Pathfinder. It's true. It's not the damage that a gun is going to do is going to be the impressive part of the gun. Gun stats. It's the critical multiplier and the range are actually the impressive parts of it. Because if you're getting shot with a bow and arrow or you're getting shot with a pistol, if you get hit in the right spot, it's going to kill you either way. Okay? It's just the whole fact of the matter is the flintlock is probably when it actually scores a vital area, it's going to deal a heck of a lot more damage. And it's going to do that from a long way away. So I was just kind of like, this makes sense. Because I've seen some other RPGs where the stats for guns are like, oh, if you're firing this, roll like, and it's for the like D20 Modern, and which was the modern version of this version of D&D, so just set in modern day, or the D20 Future, which was the sci-fi versions. I can understand those ones being like, oh yeah, it's like you're firing a pistol and it does 2d8. It's like, okay, you're firing a ray gun, or you're firing a Beretta that's going to like be able to do like a burst fire, like a full auto, like RoboCop's Beretta.
Yeah,
that had a burst fire mode where it was like you hit somebody with that and on burst fire and it's like okay, yeah, you're dealing a lot more damage. Or an Uzi's got like maybe like you're rolling 3 dice whenever you roll your damage for it. But if you're firing,
they don't have a saw. Squad automatic weapon, belt fed. After so many rounds, it does melt the barrel.
Yeah, those kind of things were like the crunchier stuff.
Launcher. Why would they have?
It's a primitive grenade launcher. That is basically the equivalent of like some kid basically taking a model rocket and a PVC pipe, model rocket kit, a PVC pipe, and a bunch of black powder, and you're just like, let's do this. Or not even a model rocket. It's you're firing a fireworks cube at them. Like, it's not a grenade launcher. It's not like an RPG anti-tank gun. So the stats in this, they're not impressive. It's the range and the critical multipliers. If you want advanced tech, that's where the damage comes in. And I do see, like, even though your range and your critical multipliers are like, this is what the problem I had with Pathfinders, like basically kind of like, because at this time, these stats were published by Paizo, who published Pathfinder. I'm pretty sure when somebody's like, hey, don't we have an article in the archives from when we had Dragon Magazine that's got the gun stats? They basically kind of lifted these gun stats, put them into Pathfinder, and the guys that were playing Pathfinder are like, this sucks. These damages a gun should be more damaging than this. And I'm like, it's a primitive gun. And it really, like, using primitive guns in D&D, unless you're out in the open or you're going to get like some way where you're going to be able to do multiple shots, it doesn't really do anything different than just firing with a regular fantasy weapon, because you can't benefit from that greater range when you're in a dungeon. You can't benefit from the critical because, it's a nat 20. You're going to kill something no matter what with a nat 20. So I thought they were really well balanced for stats, but it doesn't feel like firearms almost. It's like I'm 50-50 on that article.
Well, I like the fact they actually do have butt strokes in here, taking the weapon, because and with a pistol butt, you can kill somebody. It depends on where you hit them.
Oh yeah, right in the temple. which is the whole thing of like, which is what critical hits are supposed to represent in the game. A critical hit is like you got them in a, it's like you lucked out and you got them in a vital area. You know, you pistol whip somebody right in the temple. It's not going to do like your standard like 1d6 for being a club. It's going to do 2d6 plus double your strength modifier. You know, and yeah, it should, unless you're using like a really bad shoddy like duct tape together handle. You know, it's thump. It's gonna connect. Yeah. All right. Next article: planar dragons. So basically, dragons that you'd find on other dimensions. You got the adamantine dragon. Basically, it's just like the elemental plane of Earth. Is one of the places where these things be, and it's just like it's basically, you know, it's adamantine. Its scales are hard as adamantine. Yeah. That's what it's designed to do. You got the artorial dragons, which are Fey dragons. So some dragons with some Fey abilities. You have the Vel dragon, which are basically dragons of law. They passed the bar exam. We got the beast dragon, basically just savage hunters, which is kind of like how I liked playing dragons when they're young. Is just these savage, just like I'm just wild. I haven't actually been old enough to mature and develop. And because you think dragons live for so long, they live like Master Yoda level years. Like when they're young, wouldn't they still be like a little bit more feral and more animalistic until they grow up?
Yeah.
Well, this one's like one that never comes out of that and never like grows up. Just stays. Concordant dragons. I like this. I like this idea of like, because you have the metallic dragons are all the good dragons, the gem dragons are all the neutral dragons, and the color dragons are all the evil dragons. You have this dragon that's like, I'm trying to keep the balance so no one dragon species gets the advantage over the others, and we just have like pure evil or pure good or pure neutrality ruling throughout the universe. And then the arc dragon is basically a template that you can slap onto a dragon to have it be more in tune with its breath weapon, that elemental energy. So it's like the whole thing, like a fire breathing dragon that just ends up like fire starts burning between its scales and comes out of it. So you have like, ooh, that's impressive. Next article is Silicon Sorcery. Stats for some monsters from the Temple of Elemental Evil game. Basically, it's some giant pest. You got like the giant gar, which is like the shark with the fish with teeth. You got the giant tick. But boy, if you want your adventures to get that hand and celebrate Mardi Gras right and get like some gumbo and everything, you need a giant crawdad for your adventuring. You got to go to the Temple Elemental Evil and get them giant jumbo-sized crawdads and crawfish for your games. That stat is right there.
Crayfish. There's no W in it. It's a crayfish.
Crawfish. Yeah, I'm in New Orleans. I got to pronounce it.
But that says crayfish. We call them crayfish up here, or crawdads up here too.
All right, everybody, what do you call that creature? Write that in the comments section. See if we can get some stuff going on here. Next article.
Looking things that you can cook and eat the shells when you cook them just right.
Freshwater miniature lobsters.
Yeah.
What do you call a freshwater miniature lobster? Let us know.
Egypt Pond in Franklin County, Maine, has a bunch of crayfish in it. A bunch of crawdads.
Well, they're all up in Maine. It was almost the kind of thing of like, Like the only reason why like the Acadians were like, no, we're good when they moved down here for cooking was the whole like there's shrimp and there's crawfish. It's like the one thing they're missing out of like that New England, Maritime Canada like food is lobster.
Oh, I barely see the crayfish in other places, but in Egypt Pond, they like multiply. It's like the perfect little space for them to just multiply.
I don't know what lake it is in Presque Isle, but it's the lake behind the airport.
Okay.
When I was in college, we used to go down there to go like swimming late at night. And if you didn't wear water shoes or something on your feet, the crawfish down there would actually nip on your toes.
Yep.
And it's usually what happens is that they like food. And if there's a lot of fishermen that are like, because they're in the lakes, they're in the rivers. If you got a spot that's pretty still water, and you're just like gutting your fish and throwing the fish out there, they'll come. So it's probably like there's a lot of fishermen that go to that lake, and they're just throwing out their extra scraps and bait. So there's got to be something they love to eat there. Might not be the fishermen, but there's that ecosystem's doing good.
Yeah, I gotta check it out.
All right. Next article is the Limitless Light. It's a tour of the plane of radiance. It is the plane of of sparkles and rainbows. It is the opposite plane to the plane of shadows. The endless rainbow bridge actually extends all the way through the plane, connecting floating islands in the clouds. The clouds are all different technicolor. It's the Technicolor clouds and the Rainbow Bridge plane. So there's some notes on how being on this plane empowers light-based magic. So your color sprays and stuff like that. Anything that deals with color and light, those spells get amplified. There's areas where there's no gravity because, of course, there's floating islands. We get the new rainbow. It's a new spell called Rainbow that actually manifests a magical bow and color-coded arrows for the caster to use. Each of the arrows basically has a benefit against a certain monster type. So the red ones give you a bonus against elementals. Orange is constructs. Green is beast. Yellow is plants. Blue is the undead. Indigo is aberrations, and violet is dragons. So it's Roy G. Biv. Plus, we get the Radiant Cleric domain, which has Rainbow as a 6th level spell. So if you want to, adventure with the Rainbow, we got some cool little notes for you in that section of the magazine. Next article is Creatures of Brilliance. These are the creatures that inhabit the plane of radiance. We have Glimmerfolk, which are humans with rainbow-colored hair and black iridescent eyes. So their eyes have like a shimmery color that matches to them. They are orbited by like 3 glowing orbs of different colored light, which they can actually use that light orb. They can kind of burn it out in order to cast some light-based spells. There's the Prisma Flies. They are basically a rainbow-colored lightning firefly, and they actually fly in like swarms. And there are Radiant Creatures. It's a template that you can add. Basically, their fur or their feathers will have a rainbow coloring to them. They get, and based on what their intelligence or wisdom scores are, can actually gain like light-based spell abilities. And then there's the Rainbow Dweller, which is like a nimbulous cloud of energy that twinkles with like rainbow-colored lights. They're like that really powerful alien from Star Trek that was just a big floating cloud of lights.
Oh yeah.
It's in the original series. It's like one of those. They're just like these trans-dimensional beings that exist on the plane of radiance. The next article is Arvarin's Keepers. It's a prestige classes for the servants of the halfling god of defense. They're actually designed to combo with each other. They're one of them is a fighter and the other one is a rogue. So when they're fighting with each other, they actually are able to give each other bonuses. Perfect class if your party involves a pair of twin halflings or sibling halflings or some other halflings that have a really close connection with each other. You can kind of have your game stats reflect that close relationship. Next is next article is Normeen's Marvelous Mask. It's some notes and a couple of diagrams to show you a mask shop that's actually located originally in the Forgotten Realms, but you can move it somewhere else. So it's like costume mask that people's going to like masquerade balls, or there's some sort of event where in your worlds there's a holiday, Halloween or something like that. People have to go buy masks. There's a shop to use for that, and it's also the headquarters for a group of street thieves. So think like street urchins, like kids and teenagers that go around and pick pockets and pull scams. When they get caught, they go underground at the mask shop and hide out, which that right there sounds like a cool little adventure idea starting off point to me. What about you?
That does sound cool.
Yeah.
Street urchins stealing stuff in the mask and something goes weird. Aware. Yeah. Yeah, I can't speak today.
You feeling good?
Yeah, it's just exhausting weekend. Don't know why. It shouldn't be, but it was.
It was. I think I crammed about 2 weekends worth of stuff into one weekend. I have been manic and energetic like crazy. So it's just been like, I'm going. And I think like an hour's gone by. It's been 15 minutes. It's crazy. And I've been on this for like a week since we got off our last recording session. And I'm like, oh, I don't want to crash, because if I crash, it's going to be bad, but I'm enjoying it so far. Next article is Champions of Fate. It's prestige classes for Al-Qadim. And we talked about Al-Qadim when we talked about all the different past settings that D&D had and some of the problems with them and some of the awesome things about them. Al-Qadim was one of the ones that I didn't know all that well because my brain kind of glossed over Academe and mixed it up with Dark Sun, and it was just like, yeah, it's the same. They're the same thing. No, Al-Qadim suffers from the same kind of problems that the Oriental Adventures setting had in the beginning, where it was kind of like nobody did like a lot of research or thought of like, how are people from this area of the world going to feel about this? And that is kind of reflected that there was no sensitivity training before the writing of this article, because we have the barber, which basically can give you a shaved haircut and then poison you, all because they have such a soft touch that just can put you to rest. They can they can be holding your hand and touching your shoulder, like and petting your shoulder, like, my wonderful friend. Let me tell you about it's Josh. It is your boyfriend, could be your fiance if he ever pulls the trigger and says yes. When Josh gets into that he starts invading your personal space, it's the prestige class for him. But the fact that they made it a prestige class in an Arabic culture just irks me a little bit. The Corsair prestige class in the article, that's a little bit better. It's another name for pirate. The abilities are all what you would think of for pirates. there were pirates in the Mediterranean and the Indian Ocean, in the Mediterranean Sea and the Indian Ocean. If there's a large body of water, there's going to be pirates. I get that. But the last two, and the barber is kind of like, it's like showing the friendliness, but so they have friendliness, and they're barbers, they know some medical stuff, so they can figure out a poison. So the barber's kind of like in the gray area. The Corsair, okay, that gets a pass, but the next two prestige classes, it just tricked my thing of like, no, somebody's going to take offense to this. The Holy Slayer, you gain sneak attack. You're lawful, and you have sneak attack because you are doing this. You are killing this person because it's the will of your god. In any other setting other than an Arabian Nights theme setting, that probably wouldn't trigger anybody, but that's a little bit too on the nose for a stereotype.
Yeah.
And the next one, the Mameluke, I'm probably pronouncing that wrong, are desert zealots. It's like, oh my God, come on. There's more to the Middle East than these 4 prestige classes. So much more. They basically they get bonuses to be able to survive in the desert, and they have like a little mini rage ability. It's just like no. So moving on from that, we have the Wizard Workshop section of the magazine. These are where they give you, instead of giving you new stats and monsters and stuff like that to play with, this is where they talk about the nitty gritty, how to be a better player, how to be a better DM. And the first up is the Dungeon Craft article. This is a part 2 of characterization. Didn't review part 1 because I don't have that magazine. It's talking about the name of the article is 1 DM, 1 million characters. And it talks about using traits in order to develop your NPCs. So basically, like writing down on your index card or wherever you keep your NPCs, you want to write down like a little thing about what's their mannerisms, what kind of things do they do? Do they do that like Josh, where they pull you in close and invade your personal space to put you at ease? What's their goals? Are they trying to sweet talk? Is it like Josh trying to sweet talk you into something that you might have been willing to do in the first place, but now you're kind of like, what is he? You think he's up to something? What are their fears? What do they like? What do they dislike? Give them a quote, and what's some action that they do? Like if it's a specific like character that's got like a cool like spell or a special tactic they use in battle, like what's their signature move? Just having those down, and that helps you different, and having those be different for each NPC lets you have some variety, so they're not all like cardboard cutouts. Next article is the DM's Toolbox, defining irony in D&D, and they talked a lot about so it's player versus character irony. Is the players have the knowledge but the characters don't, which I know I'm picking on Josh a bit this episode, but maybe he'll actually tune in and watch this, so he'll blow up the comment section. But a lot of time Josh goes and he's like, you can't use your player knowledge, your character doesn't know that, and it's that. And trying to use that is metagaming. You get called out on it, and you have to kind of like, but it's ironic because it's like, if I was actually there, I could do the thing, but of course my character does not know how to do this. But if you lean into it, you're like, I'm gonna try, like, I'm gonna try to fight the vampire with an actual sword, and everybody else is like, dude, you need to use a wooden stake, and it's like, my character doesn't know that. I gotta fight it with a sword, until like he proves to himself that he's like sword through the heart. It's like, that doesn't work.
It's like the Jackson when he DM'd, and my character has the wands, but the NPC he was playing shouldn't have known that.
Yeah, that's the.
He tried fusing my wands.
That's another type of irony where it's DM versus player irony, or DM versus the character irony, where it's like either the DM knows something or the DM forgets something, and then it can turn the tables on everything because they're like, oh, I forgot that you shoot. Oh, I forgot that you have water breathing and you have the wand. Like, you've been introducing a lot of irony, which has caused the game to shift a little bit. When we're dealing with player irony, when player versus character irony, I like the whole thing of like, let me make an intelligence check. Let me roll a skill to like, do I know this or does somebody else know this? And let them actually tell my character. Maybe I'll lose a round of combat for somebody being like, dude, no, you got to do this. Oh yeah, you're right. Drop the sword, grab the stake, vampire dead. But it can't just be like, oh yeah, it's a vampire. I'm just gonna reach in my bag and pull out the stake and stab it. It's like, has your character fought a vampire before? No. But lean into it, and you'll have like some one of those, like, it causes the dramatic tension to be a bit higher if you just play your role better. And when you're the DM and the players catch you flat-footed and you made a mistake and you walk right into it, admit that you walked right into it, let the players have it, and roll with it to the next thing. Next article is Sage Advice. This is the write in, because it's a magazine. You write in, you got a question, you hope that they're going to answer it, and it'll get published way before the internet, and able to just get on Discord and talk to another DM and be like, hey man, how does this work? So the big takeaways that I wrote down was that special material ammo, the cost that's listed in the third edition 3.5 Dungeon Master's Guide, it's not per, like, because normally ammo is sold in, like, you buy like 10 arrows at a time, or 8 quivers, or you can get like 30 slugs for your sling at a time. The price for special ammo is not per like the normal unit of measurement that the things are sold in. It's per actual piece of ammunition. So if you wanted to get an adamantine arrow, that would cost you 61 gold pieces to buy one adamantine arrow, or for 20, it would cost you 1,220 gold in order to buy just 20 adamantine arrows, because you got to pay for each arrow. I've seen that, like, people mess that up a few times, where it's like, oh yeah, it's no. That cost times the number of ammunition equals the price. And one thing that me and Josh do completely wrong: you cannot cast a spell from a spell book. You have your set number of spells per day, and if you didn't memorize it, or you have used up all of your spell slots, if you're a spontaneous caster, you're able to just, like, it's kind of flavorful that you're holding the spell book, but you're spontaneously casting something. It looks cool to hold the spell book while you cast up, but holding the spell book doesn't let you. It's not like a scroll. Now, me and Josh break this a lot, where it's like, oh, it's a spell book. But we have done our best to be like, it's a magical spell book. Like, it needs to be like a legendary artifact level spell book that lets you cast out of it as if it was a scroll without erasing. Or it's like I've said, like, take a feat where you can do, like, you can cast from the spell book as if it was a scroll, but it takes like double the amount of time, because you got to stop, take extra time in order to cast something from the book. So it's like your instant, like, I'm going to do it. Like, magic missile from a spell book takes 2 rounds, because it's double, like, the normal, like, magic missile is just like your attack for the round, and then you get to move and do stuff. I always like to do it like, if you're going to cast it from the book, the casting time takes twice as long.
Okay.
Because you're trying to forget the spell that you got memorized to learn a new one, and you're in combat. So I've always just because I like rule of cool. If something's gonna look cool, if something's gonna be cool, do a cool thing, I would much rather be like, let's do it. And it kind of segues into one topic I want to talk about, and it's probably because it's probably going to come up through a lot of other reviews. Because I have decided I am going to sell off the copious amount collection to free up some cash and free up some space. There's a few things at the end of this series I'm going to show everybody. This is what I kept because I can't part with it. But I'm getting rid of the rest, and I've started from scratch. I am building my own role-playing game. And casting from a spell book is totally going to be part of the game. And a lot of the things that I've really enjoyed going back through my Dragon magazines and my AD&D books, my 3rd edition books, my Pathfinder books, the other books, I wrote a list of like all of my favorite things from every game I've ever played. It's like a list of like 25 different games, including miniatures and role-playing. And I'm trying to distill it down into like the fundamentals. And we're probably going to end up like once I get that all done and I can share that typed up with you and Josh and the rest of the crew, we're going to start play testing. And I got this because because it sparked off of that whole thing. Like you can't cast from the spell book, but I want that to be like a key part of this game. That's the only spoilers I'm going to give right now for this thing. Remember the composition? In the composition notebooks, how on the inside cover it's got the tables.
Yeah.
Okay. The player's handbook and the DMG. You open the front cover. On the inside, on the hardback, and on that usually first blank page, has everything that a player needs to know in order to do something in their round. Okay? Do the reverse. You flip to the very back inside cover. It's everything you need in order to create a character or level up. The first few pages of the player's handbook is the actual rules and spelling out of everything. The rest of the player's handbook is designed so you have on the left page is your game stats. The right side of the page is your inventory and special notes. And it's just character sheets the entire rest of the way through the book.
Nice.
Like, I want that to be like how this thing is marketed. You have one handy.
Cut through all the bullshit.
But yeah, you have like something
unnecessary wording and get to the.
It's the whole thing of like you have. Here's how for the DM, it's all set up to be like 2 pages of like it's got your how to play section, a very, very, very simple how to play section. You have or as few pages as you need for how to play. Because there's only going to be like a few, like, I'm going to make this game simple. Then you have a section that is just 2 pages, a right and a left, that's how to put all your notes together for one scene of the adventure. So everything that's going to be happening, you got it all right there in front of you. And then the monster manual is just basically a section of ideas for monsters and stuff. And it's just like, here you go. Like, as a DM, all you really need to do is grab your DM's book because you've space enough to copy all the stats you need for the scene. Like, I seriously want this to be like, everybody grabs their player's handbook, and the DM grabs their DM's guide. The rest of the stuff, just leave it at home, bring your dice, bring your book, sit down, and you can play.
That would be so much simpler. And I think that would help out the group we're playing with. Because
especially it'd be much more friendlier for new players, and for newer DMs and experienced DMs, because once you design a scene, your scene is set. You can just go back to your actual book, pull it out, and be like, oh yeah, I've this. And you can, and if I'm only wasting like, let's say 20 pages at most on actual rules, and the rest of the notebook is purely just like, forms, handouts, it's perfect. Because partially, like, the only thing I really want to do for the monetization is to sell the actual notebooks. And I'm probably going to put the rules up for like, give me $2. Kind of thing. But no, I've been having a lot of fun doing it. I got some ideas. Plus, I'm planning on making like, and I want it to be like, you have like the sci-fi version, you have the fantasy version, you have the fantasy version. So you got like your old ancient days book, your modern day book, and your sci-fi book. And it doesn't matter what kind of story you're running. It's the whole thing of like, you can just grab one of those books and play that character. You can do the whole thing of like, I am Conan the Barbarian, and I have suddenly woke up and now I'm surrounded by like freaky little hooded people. What's going on here? It's like I'm being abducted by Jawas. Like kit bashing, genre crossing, like part of the, like one of the, like the actual DMG, I might actually like that, the resource book, the one that's got all the monsters and stuff like that. I want some of the pages before you get to the actual stats is like, okay, here's an idea for a setting. Here's the type of for a one shot or a game. Here's the stats you need for it, and like a book that has like all like your what would be your monster manual is more like your monster manual campaign setting guides. So even if you just wanted to grab that one and bring that one to the game, there's like scenes and scenarios already pre-baked into it. You just be like, okay, tonight we're using page 50, 70, 76, and 240. And that should be enough to actually tie everybody up for tonight. And you wing the rest of it. Like it's designed to be like you're just telling a story. It's story trumps anything else. Like it's my new passion project. And I think it's probably why I've been so manic and why probably a lot of people who tuned in for the review have tuned out. So I think it's time to wrap it up and for this episode, and we'll see you next week. Peace.
Sorry, guys. We'll see you next week.
Even Tanya checked out.
No, I was thinking something. Josh gave me a gift today.
Ooh.
It's a wooden mimic box.
Ooh.
So it's like, mimics can be anything except a living creature.
That's because they're
Everyone
already
puts them as a box, a treasure box. So I was just thinking, how am I going to wrap that up in 3 Mondays?
How are you going to wrap what up in 3 Mondays?
The mimic. How am I going to add it into what I'm going to do?
Oh, yeah. Oh, the great thing is mimic can be anything.
Yeah, but I have a mimic as a box. The head comes off.
Hey everybody, thanks for staying till the end of the episode. Remember to like, share, subscribe. Follow us on Facebook at Board Barista Productions. And if you want to support us, Patreon link at the bottom.